Hello everyone, this is Kat, long time no see, and welcome to Exiting the First Cognition. I decided to share a realization I had and am still learning from, and that lately has been removing my expectations. I know we all heard by now there isn't a cookie-cutter approach when it comes to our traits, or our path in general, but I realized how I still carried that mindset or belief in myself and how it was actually holding me back and from finally realizing how my personal traits actually work. I spent a while on and off on a trait I have for a few months now with a mixture of excitement and ambivalence. On one hand, a part of me knew in my Soika I had the capabilities for this trait, yet on another they weren't manifesting in a way that was familiar to me or how I expected it to be, which dissuaded me with doubt on and off for months. My expectations filled me with doubt and slowed down my growing process in this area. And in hindsight, I can see how this was slowing down my cognitive process in general. Not to mention, this kept me locked with a tunnel vision which prevented me from seeing how I actually function and work. It wasn't until I was ready to quit and throw in the towel on this that I began realizing how my expectations were fucking me up and causing nothing but doubt and fear. These expectations were detrimental to my growth process due to the inner anxiety and schism they caused. And in hindsight, I see how these expectations kept redirecting my focus on unimportant first cog shit which didn't serve me, my Soika, nor my cognitive advancement in general. Indeed, it was a distraction. These expectations were a distraction that prevented me from looking within and figuring out how I truly worked compared to what I was indoctrinated to believe how I should work. I had no choice but to let my expectations go. It wasn't until then that I began to feel truly confident about myself and more comfortable with how my traits personally work for me. I no longer approach my traits with as much uncertainty, ambivalence, or any other negative or reproachful emotion. By removing these expectations and accepting what is about myself and my traits, I was finally able to move past the cognitive roadblock that these expectations created. So, see? What I learned about myself is how I am still clearing out the trash, so to speak, while learning more about myself, my Soika, and how my traits actually work. I held the key to my success and answers all along, and that was my confidence in my inner knowing that I could do this and my intent that I could and can succeed. It wasn't looking outward to how I thought my traits would work for me, but rather learning how I actually function. So even I am still removing the old mindset of looking outward for answers and results rather than looking within. Do you still carry any kind of expectations on your path? Regardless of whatever it is, I learned from this to analyze more deeply why I had these expectations and realized how they were restricting my cognitive growth. Expectations are preconceived notions, if that makes sense, and more than likely indoctrinated into us and can prevent you from seeing or actualizing your own realization. They keep you from seeing your own potential. Expectations, at least for me, caused a tunnel vision which had me chasing rainbows, so to speak, looking for what I wanted and how I wanted it, rather than just allowing things to simply be as they are. Underneath the guise of golden promises, expectations are restrictive and controlling and do not serve you or your Soika. They are a distraction from what you carry within as an individual Soika. And remember, distractions are literally a thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something else and an extreme agitation of the mind or emotions. Are your expectations where your focus needs to be? Do you recognize how your expectations are restricting your growth process or your confidence? Because that's what I learned from this experience. Thank you for listening to my short presentation. I'm hoping that providing what I learned from my own realization, that you gain some insights from this as well that benefit you on your path. Many of us start out with expectations on our path. Perhaps none of us are exempt from it, And these expectations keep us from accepting what just is about the Soka path and ourselves. So don't keep following expectations, because they will not lead you to the greater and expanding awareness of what is your Soka. They are residual desires of the ego, and that is all that they are, and they need to be discarded. Don't let the disillusionment of what your ego tried to sell you defeat you when your expectations are shattered, because your Soka is far stronger than that. I also had to endure the same, but I came out stronger in the end because my consciousness was freed from these cognitive restraints. They are truly no different than jail bars which keep you in prison. By removing these jail bars, you can move out of the first cognition and step into your power. So until next time, keep on exiting the first cognition. Goodbye.